Guys, as you can see, the leg of my pant is straight, but the one in the video is like an A-line. So I detailed how you're going to cut yours as A-line. But because I was using a cara, if I made the leg any wider, it would look weird. So, but I detailed how you're going to cut yours as an A-line. And I didn't add a pocket. Instead, I used the belt to pull the waist in. Because when I added the pocket, it was making it puffy in front, so I decided to just close it up on the side. But I made sure to detail everything you will need to make yours with a like a crepe fabric or a silk fabric, because the only thing you're going to like a silk at the better. So I detailed it. I showed how I made sure to detail everything. So don't mind like how my leg. Yeah, let's get into the video. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video I'm going to show you guys how to make this jumpsuit. So guys, we're starting from the front panel. As you can see, I've already marked out some parts. So the first line I have here is my crotch. I marked 3.5 all the way down here. How I got it is that if you want to calculate your own, just use your hip measurement, divide it by 4. So my whatever you get, divide it by 4 again. So my hip is 48, divided by 4, 12, divided by 4 again is going to be 3, but I added half an inch of seam allowance to it. That's why I used 3.5. For someone that has hip of 40, you're going to do your hip divided by 4, 10, hip 4, then that 10 again divided by 4, whatever you get plus half an inch, that is going to be the seam that you're going to leave by the side here. So once you've calculated, that is the first thing you're going to do. So, okay, first thing is fold your fabric into 2, right? And then after that, you're going to measure the length you want your jumpsuit to be. So mine plus seam allowance and everything is going to be almost 60 inches. That is what I have here as the length, right? And then after that, the next thing is going to be to insert this measurement here. After that measurement, then you're going to check what you have left, which is supposed to be now your hip measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch of seam allowance and like half an inch of ease. That is the measurement. So that means the width I have here is going to be my hip divided by 4 divided by 4 again. That is this crotch area. And then after that, I'm going to place my tape after the line. Then do my hip divided by 4 again, 12 plus 1 inch of seam allowance and half an inch of ease. That is how I got the total of this width here. So now that is done, I'm going to go ahead and start inserting my measurements. So if you look up here, you see that the first thing I did is to mark half an inch at the top here, and then after that I'm going to, all my measurements I'm going to be inserting now will start from this straight line that we've ruled here. This is going to be my center front here. So the next thing is to put my tape here after this straight line, mark my shoulder divided by 2, which is 8. My shoulder is 16, divided by 2 is 8. Come down here, 1 inch of shoulder slope. Mark my neck width, which is going to be 3 inches. Connect the shoulder slope to this point here. And then I'm also going to mark half an inch at the top of it for my seam allowance here. Right? And then after that, I'm going to also bring down that same 8 inches here, just so that I can keep my hand straight. So how I got this particular line here is my armhole length. How you're going to calculate it is just your bust divided by round your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. That is how you're going to get this length here. I'm going to go ahead and connect it all the way to the top now, just like this. And then I'm going to come here, insert my bust measurement divided by 4, give it a curve like this, and then add my 1 inch of seam allowance. At this, I don't think I'm going to be adding ease to my bust and my hip and my waist. Only my hip is where I'll add ease. The rest, I'm going to make it fitted, just my body measurement, except when I get to my hip, that is where I'm going to add extra, because I want it really tight at the top and then just flay out towards the hip and down. So now I'm going to do the same. Come down to my waist measurement. So after that, I place my tape shoulder to waist at 17.5, waist divided by 4, mark it. Add 2 inches, 1 inch of sewing allowance, 1 inch of darting. That is what I have here. After that, I'm going to come down to my hip measurement, hip divided by 4. Whatever, like I said, is 12 for me. And then plus half an inch of ease and 1 inch of sewing allowance. Mark it. So that is what I have here. Go back again now. Place my tape. So this is my waistline. This is my bust line, my waistline. and then my hip line, my waist to hip is 10 inches, right? How you're going to calculate it is just place your tape at your waist and find the pointiest part of your hip. That is how I got mine, 10 inches. And normally how you calculate the how you get your crotch is normally to do your hip divided by 4. That is how you're going to get your waist to your hip. I don't like to go up and do everything together. So now that we've done this upper part, forget about it. Let's start from the waist now and think about it like we're cutting a pant, right? So place back your tape now at the waist. Remember, this is our waist, this is our bust, this is our hip. Place your tape at your waist and think of it like you're cutting it, you're cutting a pant at this point, right? And let me just put it this way. This is from the waist down. Just forget about this side, right? And then we are going to just go ahead and insert my waist to hip, like I said, is 10. So after that, my crotch normally, if I'm making like a pant for myself now, would have been at 10 inches here, right? It would have been at 12, because how I normally calculate it is either I sit on a hard surface, place my tape like this, and measure from my waist to the chair itself, or I'll just divide my hip by 4 one time, not like how we did to get this part here. Just one time, divide my hip measurement by 4 and then get it. I would have used 12, but since this is going to be one piece and you're going to be sitting down with it, doing so many things with it, this particular jumpsuit, you never use your actual crotch measurement. If you look at her own, you see that is actually the crotch dropped a little bit. So I'm thinking I'm going to go with 14, right? So I'm going to add extra 2 more inches to it and go with 14 as my crotch line. Now, normally, like I said, I would have used 12, but I'm going to make it 14. I can be able to sit down with it and move around with it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and so like I said, I have 3.5 here now. All I have to do is just to go ahead and give it a curve like this. I don't have to measure this length here because I already calculated everything. So measure it, just give it a curve, just like this, into the crotch. You see? So I've marked this now, and then all I have to do is just to blend this down all the way. I'm going to keep my hand straight, here all the way. But guys, I know that you are looking at this jumpsuit and you're thinking, but it has like an A line. If you look at it closely, like you see that some of them, their design is like as if the pants started from the hip and flared out something like this. You noticed it, right? So what you're going to do, if you're thinking of how to do it here, is that you're going to fold your fabric even further. I would advise, if you want to do this style, like the one that has the A-line, do it with like crepe or fabric that has like some flow to it. This Zakara is too, like, the starch is too much. It will not flow for me like that. So let me not go and overdo it. So what you're going to do is, if you decide to make it A-line, when you fold your fabric and you put into consideration this extra for your crotch, the main body of your hip. So what we have here is the part for the crotch, the part for the hip divided by 4 plus our 1.5. That is this point to this point. Our crotch is this point to this point. Our hip divided by 4 plus 1.5 is this point to this point. Now, the extra you're going to add is inches or 3 inches more. That will be for the A-line, if you really wanted that A-line, right? So all you have to do is, at this point now, you can just go from your hip, from your waist, go down, cross over from your hip, and then blend it to that extra. Let's say 3 inches is what you added. That way you will get that A-line. You understand? So now that I've explained that, like I said, I'm sticking to straight pants. Mine is going to just narrow down. So what I'm going to do is, because I want to close up the leg of this pant a little, I don't want it too open, I'm going to come in here by like 1 inch or 1.5, and then I'm going to blend this into this end here. So guys, another thing that I'm going to do now, you see, I've gone ahead and added my dart. So this is just a basic dress dart. Come in here by your nipple to nipple divided by 2, and then just like that here, 2 inches before my hip line, which is here, and then 1 inch before my nipple line here. So my dart here started at 13. From my shoulder to 13 inches is where it started, because my nipple line is at 12. So wherever your shoulder to nipple line is, you're going to stop 1 inch before that. So that is just a basic dart here, and then 2 inches before my hip line, which is here. So this dart is going to be transferred on both sides here, and then I'm also going to go ahead and remember, we only did 1 inch for the side seam. We have not considered this outer part here. So now we're going to actually add in half an inch here to join this part here. So I'm going to just mark half an inch all the way down, blend it into this crotch line here. You understand? So now we've added the seam allowance for that part. I'm going to also come in here and mark 3 inch of neck depth. Come down, mark 3 inch here for my shoulder, and then blend it in. This is going to be my neckline. So now all I have to do is to just go ahead and cut. Guys, if you look now, you see that I've gone ahead and cut it. So first I started from this bottom part, cut everything out into my armhole, and then my shoulder slope. This is out. You see the side is maintained the same way. Set this aside, and then I cut out my 3 inch of neck depth. Then remove this front part after my 1/2 inch of seam allowance. This is out. And then I also cut out the 1 inch I told you, that just to reduce the opening of the pants. And this is our bodice here. So this is what we're working with right now. So now again, I'm going to fold my fabric exactly like this, but this time around is going to be wider by like 4 inches again, because we need to extend the crotch at the back. So let me go ahead and get my fabric the same length but different width, wider. So guys, this is it here. You see, I went ahead, folded my fabric again into 2 and cut the side. If it was A-line, like let's say it was like this, I would have still cut the same thing from the side all the way into my waist and armhole. Everything by the side remains the same for both the front and the back. This is where all the changes will come. But just make sure that whatever you folded for the second part here, that's the back panel, is extended by almost the same thing that you use for the front again, right? You have to extend it. That 3.5, do the same for the back. I'm going to do like 3 inches here. And then what I'm going to do next is that I'm going to blend it into this here. I'm not going to be giving it any seam allowance here, because this front panel already has seam allowance. If I go again and draft another 1/2 inch of seam allowance, that means the back will have more than, because there's seam allowance from this front here. So I need to still keep it that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to blend it into the crotch here. But the thing is that you're not going to blend it in exactly like how the one in front is. You're going to come out a little bit out, right? And then blend it into it like this. This is my back crotch. You're going to come out at least 1 inch from where the one from the back is. Don't blend it in like this. It will be too tight, or it will even dig into your butt. So you have to come up a little from the edge of this one, like 1 inch in, and then blend it in. And then the next thing is our zipper allowance. So it depends on you, the length of zip you're using. First, you see, I even cut out my shoulder slope. I'm going to measure 1 inch of neck depth. So this is going to be my back neckline. After that, I'm going to measure at least 1/2 inch again added to this, or 1 inch added to this. That way this is going to be for my zipper, right? So you can't do more than that, because remember, you already have 1/2 inch from this one here, which is going to enter into your zipper. If you do, so that's why I was saying you can also do another 1/2 inch, so that 1/2 inch plus this other 1/2 inch coming from the front, which you're going to be drafting on top, will now make it 1 inch for your zipper. But it depends on what you like to use for your zipper allowance. If you like to use 1.5, then you can go ahead and trace 1 again. But just know that this, you have to put into consideration this seam allowance here, because you're tracing on top of this seam allowance also. So now let me go in and mark my zipper allowance here. Understand? So wherever my zipper is going to stop now, so let's say my zipper will stop here, I'm going to cut it into this part. You see, just like how we normally do our pants. Remember, whenever we are tracing our pants, we normally do something that looks like this. Forget this part. We normally have something that looks like this and then go into the pants, right? So now this is what we're working with for our zipper allowance. So it depends on the length of your zip. Let me see what I have. So mine is about 26 inches. Okay, that's okay. Although I know my zip is not this long, but I'm going to just cut with that. So now, for the leg of the pants, you're also going to reduce it, right? I may just leave like 1 inch extra from here, and every other thing I'm going to blend it into this here. So guys, you see what I did here? I've connected this into this line. Some people like to just blend in their own, like this front panel now, they'll blend it into where this line started, and then this back panel, they'll also blend it. I don't like that look, because my thigh is quite big, so I don't like getting to the end of the pant, it will look like it's narrow. So I like it to still maintain the same size all the way to the floor. Even if it can go wider, that would be better. So this is how I'm going to leave my own. You see what I did here? Half of it, halfway through this here, I reduced half of it and then blended it in here. Some people will just go and blend their own here, which is also good. It will look good on a skinnier person, like a smaller size, right? but I don't just personally like it. But if you would want your own narrow, and there's no harm in just leaving it wide. If you feel like it's too much, you shape it. But if you cut it and wear it, and you don't like the look, you can't go back in again. So that's why I like to just leave it open when I'm cutting, so that if I will have the option of reducing it if I want to. So now all I have to do is just cut. So I'm going to cut from here into my crotch, into my zipper, and then the 1 inch of neckline. So guys, this same that I have here, I'm going to transfer it to the back, but except the one for the back is going to go all the way to the chest line. The two sides of the front will have a short dart like this. The one at the back is going to have a dart. At the bottom part is going to end at this point, but the upper part is going to end at the chest line for both sides of the back. Remember, I have 4 pieces here, 2 pieces in front, which is this one, 2 pieces at the back, which this one's here. So the 2 darts here will go up to the chest line, but the part of the hip will still maintain all the way 2 inches before my hip line. So all I have to do now at this point is to take it, join the 2 front panels together, join the 2 back panels together. So I'm going to make a seam all the way here, and then the one at the back, I might just make a seam all the way and stop somewhere 2 inches into my zipper and leave it that way and bring it back, because our zip is still going to fit in here. So guys, this is it. So we're first starting with the front panel, because the back doesn't have anything. It's just to add the zip, join the crotch, that is it. So it's the front that we just made the placket for. So you see what I did here, I've added my dart. If you see, you see there's a dart here. My dart is here, so it has already created somewhere for my bust, right? So now let me turn it around and show you something. So guys, this is it here. So what I did is that coming up to my waist, I double stitched it. So find where your waist is. So my waist is somewhere here. I stitched it twice up to this point. There's a reason for that. Our placket will come in here, and to add the placket, the only way I know how to is that I'm going to have to reduce this here, so it will look like the 2 ends are meeting each other. Then I'll show you how we are going to add it. So now what I did is that the rest of this seam here, they're not like very tight seam. The only seam that is tight and doubled is just coming up to my waistline. Every other thing now, I'm going to just go ahead and lose this seam, but before I lose it, I'm going to cut off this excess on the end here, like this 1/2 inch. Cut it all the way till my waistline. Wherever my waist is where I'm going to stop. Don't worry about it. So this is where I want it to stop, so I'm going to cut it off at this point. But when you get to this point, double stitch it, guys. Double stitch it, so this doesn't come loose. It will look like the cloth is joined together. That's how you want it to be. Double stitch this. Don't leave it at 1 stitch. So now I'm going to open this back up. You see, I cut it at the very end here, so let me just remove this now. Guys, this is what I was saying. So once you cut it to this point, you see where we have this sharp bend here, that is where you want it to stop. And then I came up with my seam here to hold it together. I cut off all the excess. That 1 inch of 1/2 inch of seam allowance we left by the center, you see, I cut it off at the upper part. This is because we're trying to create a way to add our placket. So to add my placket, I have this here that is about 2 inches of width when it's open, right? This piece of cloth here is 2 inches of width. Let me keep it this side so you see. It's 2 inches of width open like this. But then I tucked in 1/2 inch on this side, 1/2 inch on this side, and then folded it together like how we form bias, right? So the way it is now, this is going to form the bottom part of our placket. So I'm going to take it now, take one side like this, insert it inside this way. You see, all the way to where I want it to stop. This just like this, and I'm going to sew it down to finish up this end, cut off the excess at the top, and then I decided to use black for this side. So I'll show you how we're going to do this side, but in the meantime, go ahead and sew this one now. See, I've gone ahead and put this here, so this side is done. We've put the bias on this side. So now our next step is the other side to deal with it. So the other side now, what we're going to do is that we're going to cut out what you want to use. You can use a different color, like you see I'm using black. I have 5 inches of width. I've used 1/2 inch of it to sew it to this here. Just, I stopped exactly where the seam here is, you see. If I pull it, you see, I stopped exactly where my seam here is. Although the end still extends even down to the end here. So what I'm going to do next now is that I'm going to take this here. Before, I'm going to use 1/2 inch to fold the edge. After folding the edge, then I'm going to take this folded edge now and match it up to the back here. You understand? Just like this. Let me show you again. Open it up, use 1/2 inch, join it, tuck in 1/2 inch at the end of your piece here, flip it flip that half an inch here to meet the back of this half an inch at the end here, just like that. So it's just at the end. It's just like how we normally, you know how we normally put in clothes when we are trying to extend something, like how we add in clothes when we're trying to extend maybe the end of your sleeve or something, just like how we did this one now. It's just that we used half an inch to sew it here, folded half an inch again, turned it over just on the body like this, just at the end here. You are not going to go in more than that, just half an inch like this, just at that very end. Continue to sew it down all the way to the end. When you get to the end where this is supposed to be, cut off the excess from the back, cut off the one that is facing downwards. You see what we did here is just on this side, just like how we added this here. That is how we added here, but we stopped where the seam here stops, right? The next thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to take my scissors now. You know the two ends like this, it's open like this, but I'm going to cut off the one that's supposed to face the fabric, like the one that's supposed to face down, because if I fold everything in like this now and come and sew it like this, it will be too bulky. So let me reduce the one at the back, because after all, it will not be visible, it's facing the fabric itself. So guys, you see what I cut off here? This is just to reduce the bulk. So I'm going to remove this now. So place everything correctly, pin it down, and then what you're going to do is that you're going to still go back in again, fold the end on this side, fold the end on this side. Like now you're tucking everything in, right? And then depending on how far you want your thing this to stop, I'm going to stop somewhere here, right? So what I'm going to do now is that the excess, so once you tuck in half an inch on this side, now you're just stop stitching it. You see, instead of sewing it down with the end, you're just going to stop stitch it all the way like this. Fold this end here, top stitch it all the way like this, and then I'm going to tuck in the half an inch on the end like this, right? So now the seam I'm going to make is just going to go on top on this side all the way, cross over here, come up again, and now you're going to come up into where the opening is and cross over by like 1 inch. You understand? So go down now, after you folded everything in, go down like this, sew it all the way, cross over like this, and then come back up again and cross in like this. This is what I'm saying. You see, after we've tucked in everything, sew down, continue your stitch now into this line, cross over after you folded the end, come up again. But when you come up this time around, you're sewing on top of this other side of your cloth now. Come up at least 1 inch into it, and then cross it over, double stitch it. That way you form the placket. Guys, you see, my placket is done. Like I said, you're going to come into this side here, and that is it. So this one is done now. All I have to do is just to take it the way it is. Like I said, you're going to join the back, but the back after the crotch is where you will stop. You see, for the back. So guys, this is it here. You see, for the back now, I just came up a little by the zipper part here. You see, closed up the crotch. You see my crotch seam coming up all the way into my zipper and stopped somewhere here. So now all I have to do is just to take it the way it is now. You see my front panel is still underneath it. All I have to do is just take it, join the shoulder to the shoulder here, just like that. Join this other one, the shoulder to the shoulder here, and then I'm going to put in my sleeve, and then I'm going to close up the side all the way down, all the way down. But another thing is that I'm going to also come down here 10 inches from my underarm, 10 inches down from where my underarm is, and let's say it's somewhere here. My pocket is going to fit in here, so I'm going to have like 5 inches opening. So I'm going to continue my seam all the way down to 10 inches down, leave 5 inches open again, or 6 inches open, continue my seam all the way down to the end. So this point here is where I'm going to insert a pocket, just a short sleeve. So for me, I'm going to be making mine a short sleeve, is the because I don't want the long one. So all I have to do is fold my fabric into two. The width I have here is already my armhole divided by 2 plus like 1.5, right? So I'm going to go ahead and come down here by 4 inches. So come down by 4 inches down like this, connect a straight line from this point here all the way to this point. Halfway through this line, mark it, give it a curve above like this, and then give it a curve below like this. Come down to the end here, measure what my armhole, my sleeve width is. You can do your sleeve width divided by 2 plus like 1 inch if you want it free, if you don't want it fitted. And then after that, connect from here to here. So I'm going to go ahead, cut this out all the way. Guys, I've cut everything out. So the length I have here, it depends on you what you want. is about 10 inches, right? So I'm going to still take away 1 inch of folding the end and half an inch. So I'm going to inches for my sleeve length. So as you can see, I have 2 of them here, so 1 for each side, 1 for the other side. So if I take it now, join my sleeve to this side, join my sleeve to the other side, and then close up the side, close up the side. I'm also going to take my seam, start from one end here, close up to the other end of the crotch, fold the ends of my pants, put in my pocket, and then I'm going to insert my zip, use bias to run through the neckline. So guys, this is it here. The style is basically very easy. Once you finish the cutting and get through the placket thing, nothing else. All you have to do is just add your dart in front, add the 2 darts at the back, and then put in your sleeve, join the shoulder, use bias to run the neckline, and then I use pressing button, because if you look at her own, there's nothing there, just pressing button is what I use here. And then I hem the center part of my pants and finished it up. Another thing I would like to say is that whatever length you decide to use, if you look at the end of my own, I started out with 59, but somehow I don't understand, I wore it, the pant became shorter. So I would think that, like, I would advise when you're doing your own, try to add extra 3 inches to your length, just in case, like, because I think it's the crotch that pulled the fabric up. Because I started out, I wanted my jumper to be 59 inches, and I gave my seam allowances, but when I finished it, it was riding up, like the length came up shorter than what I expected, like it was missing like 2 inches. So guys, when you're cutting yours to start, try to add like extra 3 inches to the length, any length that you decide to use. And then for that crotch part also, to try to come down, instead of 2 inches, do 3 inches. You understand? Like where I did, I came down 2 inches after my crotch line, do 3 inches, that way for more comfort. And then for the pocket, you see that I closed up my side. I didn't add any pocket anymore. That is because I'm using Ankara. This fabric has starch. So if I put the pocket, it's already making it pokey by the crotch here. So instead of that, I just closed it up. And then try to make the style my own, and then added a belt just to pull the waist even tighter, because it's an Ankara fabric. It's already fitted, right? But I just added a belt to it just to add to the style, since I'm not going to be adding a pocket to it. So it depends on you what you want. So that's basically it for me here. So there's a zipper at the back, and that's all the changes that I made to mine. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Guys, please like, share, and subscribe. Bye.